Prime Minister, when you took over from Kevin Rudd, you listed a series of priorities which you said you intended to fix after the government lost its way: border protection, population, health and climate change. And the RSPT, given that the RSPT is still a work in progress, the offshore processing centre is unsettled, the health deal is still not finalised, do you feel that you have actually addressed those priorities in the last 3 weeks?
I feel we've made some big strides forward. I think with the question of the taxation of the mining industry, we've obviously been able to enter a breakthrough agreement with some of the biggest miners in the country, an agreement that's given them certainty, that's given mining communities certainty, and we've got a leading Australian, Don Argus, working through implementation details. I think anyone who deals with mining communities can see the sense that certainty is back and people are moving forward. On border protection, I've moved to make some changes on border protection that influence events right now. For example, I announced that we will be providing additional assistance to the Indonesian Maritime Police with surveillance material and policing resources. Those things are taking effect now, and I've announced a plan for a regional framework and regional processing centre, and we are in dialogue right now. I believe that that is also a big step forward. And can I say on the question of asylum seekers, I do think that the discussion that has followed my speech on this matter last week is a discussion which is actually enabling us to see some emerging points of agreement. I think Mr Abbott agrees with me about a regional framework. I believe he agrees with me about a regional processing centre. I believe he agrees with me that that should be in a refugee convention signatory country. And I believe he agrees with me that asylum seekers, particularly women and children, should be treated decently. I think those emerging points of agreement are a step forward too.
Prime Minister,
but we've got more to do to take this nation forward. I will be outlining that during the election campaign, and I'm outlining my attitudes to taking the nation forward today.
Ms Gillard.
How do you propose to progress the discussions on the health reform with WA? How do you propose to cut a deal that is not going to anger people like Mr Brumby? And secondly, you've talked a lot about education, but as we've seen in the last couple of years, there hasn't been a great deal of discussion about the places of innovation, universities. What are you proposing to do for them?
Oh, well, on the second, I couldn't disagree with you more. We've outlined a big sweeping set of reforms for universities, and as a result of those reforms, there are more than 40,000 extra university places this year, and the enrolment growth that is happening most quickly is amongst those Australians from poorer backgrounds who have been underrepresented in university education. I think that's a huge change to spread opportunity to Australians to do what I passionately believe in, to make sure that people can get better access to a life-transforming educational opportunity. And at the same time, we've made big investments into trades training education. And of course, it's Mr Abbott that would stop the delivery of our trades training centres in schools. On health for Western Australians, we will continue to be rolling out our new health programs and plans. I have signalled that I want to, as Prime Minister, continue to have a dialogue with the Premier of Western Australia to see if we can resolve the outstanding concerns there. That remains my attitude.
Ms Gillard, Ms Gillard, what choice have the voters got of making a sort of a reasonable assessment of either side in this election? If Tony Abbott pledges this morning that he's going to keep your IR laws, and you've effectively called him a liar in your first statement.
Can I say about Mr Abbott's statement this morning, I think Australians will be saying to themselves as they see that statement from Mr Abbott, haven't we heard all this before? These words to camouflage his intention, haven't they heard all that before? What I can say to Australians about work choice choices is I'm opposed to it today, and I've always been opposed to it. I always thought work choices was wrong. Mr Abbott has always thought work choices was right.
Ms Gillard, on your way into Government House, there were some protesters who were backing Kevin Rudd. Do you expect to experience any kind of backlash against Labor because of the leadership transition? And particularly in Queensland, how do you plan to gain ground there?
Well, I will be saying to Australians right around the country, including in Queensland, that the choice in this election, I think, is a very clear one between going forward and going back. I believe Australians will be assessing me, they will be assessing the choice, they will make their judgments. That's what the election campaign will be all about, and I have commenced the election campaign because it's the right of Australians to make those judgments based on whatever they want to take into account. So, you know, we will be campaigning in this election, campaigning hard on the things that I believe in and the steps that will take this country.
It's a big call, though. It's a big call role in a sitting Prime Minister. If you don't win the election, will you be moving forward to the backbench? Or will you stay on as opposition leader?
But Patricia, such an optimist on the first day.
You spent the last day before calling an election on the streets of Tasmania. How crucial is that going to be to you winning the election? And is that a sign that Labor's still losing its grip on the state?
I did go to Tasmania. I had the opportunity to be there in Launceston and to be there in Burnie, to meet with Tasmanians, to visit a very important centre in Burnie where we are developing a childcare centre focused on the needs of children with autism.